Before you scroll, take one slow breath and listen carefully, because this may be the message your heart has been waiting for. There are moments when life goes quiet for a reason. Moments when your chest feels heavy, your thoughts move in circles, and deep down you already know something your mind is still afraid to admit. This is one of those moments. You did not land here by accident. You came here because part of you has been asking in silence if what you feel is real, if the pull is real, if the bond with this person means something deeper than words. And tonight, we are going to face that question directly, not with noise, not with empty promises, but with a truth your soul may have been sensing for a long time. Stay with me, because the sign you have been looking for may not be loud at all. It may be hidden in the silence, in the distance, in the way this person lingers in your energy even when they are nowhere near you. If this message is already touching something inside you, keep listening, because what comes next may explain more than you expected, and the final part may change the way you see this connection forever. You have felt it, haven't you? That strange pull that logic cannot fully explain. The way one person can enter your mind without effort, the way their name appears in your thoughts at the quietest times, the way your heart reacts before your mind can build a defense. At times you tried to call it imagination. At times you told yourself it was only loneliness, only hope, only a dream your heart created because it wanted comfort. But even while saying that, something inside you stayed unconvinced, because what you felt was deeper than fantasy. It moved through you like recognition, like something familiar returning. And the harder you tried to dismiss it, the more it kept coming back. That is not a small thing. That matters. Many people walk through life feeling temporary attraction, passing interest, or surface emotion. But this is not that. This is the kind of connection that unsettles you because it reaches parts of you that normal attention never touches. It wakes up old fear, it stirs old pain, it makes you question yourself. And still, beneath all of that, there is a quiet knowing that refuses to leave. That is why you are still here. That is why this person still matters to you. And that is why we need to talk honestly about the difference between confusion and truth, because sometimes the very love you have asked for arrives in a form that first shakes you before it heals you. What makes this harder is the silence. Maybe this person became distant. Maybe their energy changed. Maybe the warmth you felt now seems hidden behind cold behavior, fewer words, or long pauses that leave you wondering what happened. And because silence can feel sharper than rejection, your mind rushed in to explain it in the worst possible way. You told yourself they stopped caring. You told yourself you imagined everything. You told yourself that if this were real, it would be obvious, easy, and clear from the start. But deep connections do not always begin with perfect timing or easy expression. Sometimes they begin in tension, in awkward glances, in words that seem small on the surface but carry weight underneath, in a message that looks casual but feels deeper than it should, in a moment where they look away only because what they feel is becoming too visible. Do not skip past that. Real feeling often shows itself before it knows how to speak. And in the beginning, it may not arrive with grand confessions. It may arrive through restraint, through hesitation, through presence that feels charged even when almost nothing is being said. If you have been asking for undeniable proof, listen closely. One of the strongest signs is not loud pursuit. It is the fact that this connection keeps living inside you, even through silence, even through distance, even through every attempt to shut it down. If this is resonating, stay with me, because the next layer goes deeper. A bond like this does not only bring hope, it also brings fear. And that fear can be so intense that you mistake it for a warning. But often it is not warning you that love is false. It is revealing where your old wounds still live. When someone enters your life with an energy that touches your heart this deeply, old defenses wake up fast. Past pain rises. Memories of betrayal, abandonment, confusion, and not being chosen come forward like shadows that never fully left. So instead of only feeling love, you also feel panic. You lie awake at night, asking if you are losing touch with reality. You wonder whether they feel the same. You replay every moment, every delay, every word, every silence. And all the while, The part of you trained by pain keeps saying, "Protect yourself now before it happens again." That reaction does not always mean the connection is wrong. Sometimes it means it is strong enough to reach the places in you that still need healing. That is why this feels bigger than an ordinary crush or passing interest. It is not staying on the surface. It is moving into the deep rooms inside you. The soul recognizes what the mind cannot control, and the mind does not like that. It wants proof. It wants certainty. It wants guarantees before surrender. But love that touches the soul rarely begins with guarantees. It begins with a pull so honest, it exposes every fear that stands in the way. So, how do you know what voice inside you is telling the truth? This is where everything changes, because not every thought deserves your trust. The fearful voice is usually loud, urgent, and restless. It tells you to check your phone again. It tells you that if they do not call now, it means they do not care. It tells you that if they seem different for a moment, then everything must be falling apart. This voice feels tight in the body. It creates pressure in the chest and noise in the mind. It drains you. It feeds on worst-case stories. But there is another voice inside you, and it sounds very different. It is softer, slower, steadier. It does not shout. It does not beg. It does not panic. It feels like a quiet truth resting underneath the storm. Even when doubts rise, this deeper voice says, "Be still. Something important is happening here." That calm does not always remove the pain right away, but it gives you a strange peace in the middle of uncertainty. That peace matters more than you know. Because when a connection is only obsession, it usually leaves you empty and frantic. But when something deeper is present, there is often a calm underneath the chaos, like a hidden current of knowing that continues even when your mind is tired. Learn to notice the difference. Your fear asks for control. Your deeper self asks for trust. And if you can hear that quiet voice, even for a second, then you already understand more than your doubt wants you to believe. Look at your past honestly for a moment. If you were ever left behind, lied to, ignored, or made to feel not enough, then of course a connection this deep would shake you. Of course, part of you would want to run before you could be hurt again. Of course, your heart would question whether it can safely receive something this strong. That does not make you weak. It makes you human. But it also reveals the real lesson here. Maybe you are not only doubting this person's feelings, maybe you are also doubting your own ability to hold a love this powerful without breaking apart. Maybe the real challenge is not whether love exists, but whether you believe you are worthy of a love that asks you to stay open instead of hiding. That is why this connection feels like a turning point. It is not only here to give you butterflies or sweet moments, it is here to show you where you still shrink, where you still settle, where you still expect loss before love has even had the chance to grow. Each wave of fear gives you a choice. Feed the panic or breathe through it. Chase answers or return to yourself. Let the wound lead or let healing begin. And every time you choose calm over collapse, you reclaim a part of yourself that old pain once controlled. This is bigger than romance. This is transformation wearing the face of love. And that is why it feels impossible to ignore. Now, we need to talk about the question that keeps returning. If this bond is so real, why does the other person seem so distant? Why the mixed signals? Why the quiet? Why the pause? The answer may be simpler and deeper than you think. When two people awaken strong feelings in each other, both are affected, not just one. You are not the only one feeling shaken by this. The other person may be facing their own storm, their own fear, their own old wounds that your presence brings to the surface. Sometimes a person steps back not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much. They pull away, because what is happening inside them is hard to manage. They do not know how to hold it yet. They may fear losing control. They may fear not being enough. They may fear ruining something precious before they even understand it. So distance becomes their way of trying to breathe. Their silence becomes a shield while they sort through emotions they cannot easily name. This is why one of the hardest truths in love is that strong feeling does not always look smooth in the beginning. Sometimes it looks like hesitation. Sometimes it looks like retreat. Sometimes it looks like someone standing at the edge of something real and stepping back because the depth scares them. That does not excuse confusion forever, but it does explain why real feeling can sometimes appear hidden instead of obvious. Stay with this part, because the next truth may be the one that helps you stop suffering in the cycle. When one person feels the distance, they often start reaching harder. They text more, they overthink more, they try to explain, fix, prove, or save the connection. They want to close the gap fast because the space feels unbearable. But here is the painful pattern. The more one side chases from fear, the more the other side may feel pressure and pull away. Then the distance grows, the fear grows, and the cycle repeats. This is why one of the strongest lessons in a bond like this is learning how to stop running after what is already meant to find its way clearly. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop forcing. It means you stop making your peace depend on another person's timing. It means you return your energy to yourself. And that shift is powerful. Because when you stop reaching from emptiness, something changes in the whole connection. The pressure drops. The fear loosens. Space becomes less threatening. The other person can feel that. When you stand in your own light, you no longer send the message, "Come back or I fall apart." You send a new message instead. "I care, but I am whole. I feel deeply, but I do not abandon myself." And that kind of energy changes everything. If you only remember one line from this part, remember this. What is real does not grow stronger through panic. It grows stronger through truth, space, and inner steadiness. This pause between you may feel cruel, but it may also be doing something necessary. Time apart can strip away illusion. It can expose the parts of love that were mixed with need, fear, fantasy, or emotional hunger. And when those false layers burn off, what remains has a chance to become honest, strong, grounded. That is why distance does not always destroy. Sometimes it reveals, sometimes it prepares, sometimes it allows two people to heal separately so they do not return to each other from weakness, but from maturity. Think about that. A reunion built on fear will always shake. A reunion built on wholeness has a chance to last. So while you are in this in-between space, your work is not to suffer and wait helplessly. Your work is to grow, to calm your mind, to rebuild your center, to remember your worth without needing daily proof from anyone else. The same may be happening on the other side in ways you cannot yet see. Growth is not always visible. Healing is not always loud. But what is real does not need constant noise to keep existing. Sometimes it deepens in silence. Sometimes it is being refined where human eyes cannot track it. And if this part is hitting you in the chest, do not click away now, because the next signs are the ones many people miss when love is trying to reveal itself quietly. One of the clearest signs is not always what they say. It is how your presence affects them. Notice the look that lasts half a second longer than it needs to. Notice how their eyes search for you in a room even when they seem busy. Notice the shift in the air when the two of you are near each other. Some people speak their feelings with long speeches. Others speak through energy first, through softness in the face, through a careful tone, through respect that feels natural, not forced, through a silence that somehow feels full instead of empty. With most people, silence feels awkward. With a meaningful connection, silence can feel alive, almost like something is being exchanged without words. That matters. Look at the small things. A casual message that carries more warmth than it should. A sudden check-in that arrives at the exact moment you were thinking of them. A reaction that seems too strong for a simple interaction. These moments are easy to dismiss when the mind wants dramatic proof. But deep feeling often leaves small fingerprints everywhere. And if you keep overlooking the quiet signs because you are waiting for one perfect declaration, you may miss the whole story unfolding in plain sight. This is why attention matters. The truth is often there, but it does not always announce itself in a loud voice. Sometimes it lives in the details only the heart notices. Then, there are the moments that feel too strange to be random. The song that comes on at the exact time they cross your mind. The place, color, scent, phrase, or object that suddenly brings them into your chest so strongly it almost feels like they are right there. Maybe you wake at the same hour over and over. Maybe their name appears just when you were trying not to think about them. Maybe you dream of them in a way that feels unusually vivid, and when you open your eyes, it lingers like more than a dream. Many people brush these things off because the mind wants facts, not symbols. But life often speaks softly. It repeats what matters. It nudges. It echoes. It places reminders in front of you until you stop calling everything coincidence. Whether you see these moments as spiritual signs, emotional resonance, or the deep patterning of connection, the effect is the same. Something in you keeps being brought back to this bond. And not in a frantic way only, but sometimes in a calm wave that says, pay attention. There is more here than fear is allowing you to see. The important thing is not to lose yourself in every sign. The important thing is to notice the pattern. A single moment can be random. A repeated current that keeps returning with meaning has a different weight. And the more honest you are with yourself, the more clearly you begin to feel the difference. Dreams can also play a powerful role in this journey. Some dreams are just noise from the day, but some feel different. They feel rich, emotional, almost sacred in the way they stay with you. You wake up and for a few seconds it feels as though you truly met them somewhere beyond ordinary thought. The conversation felt real. The closeness felt real. The comfort or pain felt real. Even if you cannot explain it, something in you knows that dream touched a deeper layer. And then there are the sudden emotional waves that arrive without warning, a burst of warmth, a strange sadness, a quiet peace that lands in your chest for no clear reason. Later, you may learn that at that same time the other person was thinking of you, struggling, missing you, or feeling something heavy too. Maybe you call this intuition. Maybe you call it deep sensitivity. Maybe you call it an unseen thread. The name matters less than the experience. What matters is that some bonds seem to move through the heart before the mind can define them, and when that happens, the smartest thing you can do is not panic, not make wild stories, not chase, just observe, feel, stay grounded. Let the pattern show itself over time, because truth becomes clearer when you stop forcing it. And if this part feels close to your own experience, keep going, because the next step is where this message becomes practical instead of only emotional. Your task now is not to keep asking the same fearful question over and over. It is to stop rejecting what your deeper self may already know. Stop calling every meaningful moment fantasy just because it does not come in the form your mind expected. Stop throwing away your own intuition because fear is louder. And at the same time, stop trying to control every detail of how this connection unfolds. Control is heavy. It closes the heart. It turns love into pressure. The shift begins when you say, I do not need to force what is meant to become clear. I do not need to chase what can return in truth. I do not need to twist myself into anxiety just to feel close to someone. That decision changes your energy fast. It removes desperation. It creates room for natural movement. It tells life that you are ready to receive from trust instead of fear. And that matters more than most people realize, because fear sends out the message of lack. Trust sends out the message of readiness. If this is giving you chills, stay to the end, because the final part is not about waiting for love to save you. It is about becoming the version of yourself who can finally hold the kind of love you have been asking for without collapsing under its weight. This is the phase many people misunderstand. They think the pause means nothing is happening. But often this is the phase of preparation. You are being asked to become whole in places where you once felt incomplete. Before, maybe you hoped this person would fill the empty spaces in you, calm your fear, prove your worth, or complete a story you felt was missing. But now life is pushing you toward a stronger truth. You are learning to become your own source of steadiness, your own light, your own center. That is not coldness, it is maturity, and it changes the way love reaches you. When you are no longer asking someone else to rescue you from yourself, your energy becomes clearer, stronger, more peaceful. You stop relating from need and start relating from fullness. That makes you magnetic in a different way, not because you are pretending not to care, but because you genuinely stop abandoning yourself. And the more you build that inner strength, the less fear can use this connection to break you apart. Love that lasts usually asks this of us. It asks us to heal the places that would otherwise turn closeness into panic. It asks us to meet another person with an open heart and a grounded spine. So if you are in the middle of this strange, intense, uncertain chapter, do not assume it is empty. It may be shaping you for something deeper than the version of love you used to settle for. And do not imagine that all the work is yours alone. The other person may be going through their own inner change, even if you cannot see it from the outside. People do not always know how to name what they are feeling while it is happening. Some heal in silence. Some face fear privately. Some need time before they can admit that what they feel is deeper than they wanted to allow. They may be confronting patterns that once kept them safe but now keep them distant. They may be learning how to lower old defenses. They may be seeing their own habits, their own pain, their own tendency to step back when emotions become real. Growth is not always graceful. Sometimes it looks messy. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like someone learning, slowly, how not to run from what matters. If this bond truly carries meaning, then both people are being worked on by life in different ways, not to keep them apart forever, but to remove what would make the bond collapse too soon. This is why patience can be sacred here, not passive waiting, not silent suffering, real patience, the kind that keeps your dignity, the kind that keeps your heart open but your identity intact, the kind that says, I can love deeply and still remain anchored in myself. That is the energy that breaks old cycles. That is the energy that makes space for something honest to return. So what do you do now from this moment on? You breathe. You stop feeding the story that silence automatically means the end. You stop treating every delay like a final answer. You stop worshipping fear just because it speaks first. You watch the connection without losing yourself inside it. You notice the signs, but you do not become obsessed. You feel the bond, but you do not beg for proof every hour. You let your life grow around you again. You return to your body, your work, your healing, your peace. And from that place, something beautiful happens. The connection either comes forward with truth or it reveals clearly what it is. Either way, you win, because you are no longer trapped in panic. You are no longer shrinking for love. You are no longer handing your power away. And if this connection is as deep as your heart has sensed, then your calm will not destroy it. Your peace will help reveal it. What belongs in your life does not need you to chase until you are exhausted. It needs you to be ready to receive it without fear when the moment becomes real. Hold on to that. Let it settle in your chest. Because the deepest confirmation is not always outside of you. Sometimes it is the quiet strength rising within you as you finally choose trust over torment. And maybe that is the undeniable sign you have been waiting for all along. Not only the dreams, not only the songs, not only the sudden thoughts, the lingering gaze, the charged silence, or the strange pull that keeps returning. The deeper sign is this. No matter how many times fear tried to bury the truth, something inside you kept recognizing this connection. Not in a weak way, in a steady way, in a way that survived confusion, in a way that kept returning, softer but stronger, every time the noise settled. That does not mean you stop using wisdom. It does not mean you ignore reality. It means you learn to listen to yourself with more honesty than before. If this message found you at the right time, let it stay with you. Let it remind you that what is real does not always arrive loudly, but it leaves a trail the heart can follow. And if this spoke directly to what you have been carrying, stay with that feeling. Let it open you. Let it steady you. Let it teach you. Because the next chapter of this story is not written by fear. It is written by truth, by healing, by timing, and by the quiet power of a heart that no longer runs from what it knows. If this touched you deeply, hold that close, and keep listening to the part of you that still believes love can arrive not as chaos forever, but as peace that finally knows where to stay.